My sixth social report is on the Han Chinese people in the United States. According to worldatlas.com, the Han people belong to the largest ethnic group in China, with around 90% of people in mainland China being Han. Taiwan counts 90% of its people as Han Chinese as well. Hong Kong has about 6.6 million Han Chinese, while Singapore has 2.7 million Han. The Han people have long prospered in China, and increasingly, many have ventured abroad and settled worldwide. Internationally, Han people can be found in Macau, Australia, Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, Japan, Laos, India, Cambodia, Malaysia, Russia, the United States, Canada, Peru, France, and England. Almost 1 in every 5 people on our planet are ethnically Han Chinese, though most of these live in the People's Republic of China. Han people originally ruled and influenced China during the Han Dynasty, beginning in 206 BC. Arts and science flourished during this time, which is often referred to as the Golden Age of China. The period introduced Buddhism, saw the spread of Confucianism and Taoism, and further developed the use of Chinese characters in writing. This was also the start of the Silk Road route that established trade between China and many nations far to the west. The first Chinese emperor, Huangdi, also called the Yellow Emperor, who united China, is considered by many Han as an ancestor. Huangdi ruled the Huaxi tribe that lived by the Yellow River, thus his title as the Yellow Emperor. The Yellow River in China is considered by the Han as the cradle of their civilization, from where Han culture began and spread outwardly. Hanyu was the original language of the Han, and a tongue which later developed into an early version of Mandarin Chinese. Then a written vernacular Chinese was increasingly used as a link among and between the many local languages used at that time. Folk religion also played a large role in Han life. The worship of figures in Chinese mythology and clan ancestors were fused with Confucianism and Taoist Buddhism. The Golden Age of China during the Han Dynasty brought a renaissance to Chinese literature, philosophy, arts, and cuisine. The early Han people introduced many discoveries to the outside world that came into contact with them. These included fireworks, rockets, gunpowder, the crossbow, cannons, and matches. Paper, printing, paper money, porcelain, silk, liquor, compass, and earthquake detectors were also developed in China long ago. The Ming Dynasty, also ruled by Han people, contributed to the building of the Great Wall, which was began by the first Han emperor, Huangdi, during the First Imperial Dynasty. The Terracotta Army of Huangdi is also a Han accomplishment. The Terracotta Army and Great Wall alike have been declared as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. According to Joshua Project, most Han Chinese speak one of the many Chinese dialects, which include Mandarin, Cantonese, and Hokkien. Although the dialects are very similar, the speakers of one Chinese dialect cannot understand the speakers of another. The Han Chinese began fleeing to other countries in 1276, after the Mongol invasion. Many other upheavals and conflicts followed, and the Chinese continued to settle in other nations, particularly in Southeast Asia. Wherever they went, the Chinese settled almost exclusively in urban areas and became involved in business and commerce. Today, they are very influential in the economies of many of these nations, though they represent only a small percentage of the population. Many of the Han who live outside of China have maintained their culture and language to varying degrees. Depending on the culture in which they live, except for those in Thailand, the Han continue to speak their various Chinese dialects. In most countries, the Han have also continued living by their traditional Chinese customs, especially those regarding marriage and the family. One of the primary reasons they have kept their own languages and customs is because they have a deeply ingrained belief in the superiority of their culture. According to Hooton.edu, the Chinese who came to America in the late 19th century were mainly poor peasants and workers who had struggled to survive in the destitute circumstances of their times. The Chinese rarely abandoned their homeland to search for another. When they went abroad, a wife and children frequently were left behind. Almost all immigrants hope to return after having accumulated a fortune by trade or by labor in a foreign country. In America, a Chinese laborer who could save up a few $100s would consider a small fortune and would usually retire to his native village. He could expect to spend his declining years surrounded by his filial sons and grandchildren, and when he died, be laid to rest among the honored dead of a long ancestral line. There are 4,317,000 Han Chinese in the United States, but no matter where they live in the world, they remain largely unreached with the gospel.